Good evening. This is Matt Mosley on the Arkansas Sports Network. Big Pig Energy with Coach Kelley joining us tonight at the start of the show. Little Rock Christian head coach, sitting with an 8-1 overall record, 7-0 in the 6A West. Coach Eric I'm gonna butcher it, Coach. Pronounce it for me.
Yeah, it's actually simpler than it looks. It's just Cohu, long O, long U. So, but I've heard everything. So I love to actually hear Jeff Williams. I did a podcast with him the other day, and he kind of gets to it all the time and just kind of says, Coach Co, or so, just moves on real fast. Anyway, it's Cohu.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on. And guys, just to give you some background of where this is going, where we're having this conversation. Coach, you had made some comments a couple of weeks ago about the state of Arkansas high school athletics, high school football specifically. And Coach Kelley and I are very passionate about the high school game. Obviously, Coach Kelley being the success at Pulaski Academy and the things he's done in Arkansas. I've got a son that plays at Russellville High School. I wanted to get you on because I wanted to talk to you about the state of Arkansas high school football. I mean, I've seen it from a different lens because, as our viewers know, I live in the state of Alabama, played in the state of Alabama. It's different down here. It just is. But you said some things, and I want to touch on a few things, kind of get your feedback. And I'd love to get Coach Kelley to comment on some of these. One of the things you touched on is about realigning junior high school football to just be 7th and 8th grade. I know in Arkansas it's different. 7th and 9th, they're kind of intermingled together. I know Russellville specifically, 7th, 8th, and 9th, they're kind of intermingled together. What benefits would that give, especially for smaller communities? What benefits is that going to give high school football players in the state if they were to realign and just have 7th and 8th grade together and 9th grade push to the high school?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here, Matt, as well. And always good to talk about high school football and to be on here with Coach Kelley's, storied high school career here coaching. And all those of us that love football and love high school football have really got to unite on this, because the biggest thing, that prompted me for this tweet that got a lot of attention was, the complaining of the Razorback football. But there's some things I've seen, having coached in Alabama for several years, sort of one of the highest level football cultures that exists, that, made me say, hey, there's things we can do to make the football culture here better, because the talent level is here. So just 30,000 view was when I got here. I thought there's, the talent level as I watch these teams is the same as anywhere in the South. And I've been able to coach in 4 southern states. But yet I don't feel like it's developed. And one of the impetus things that I saw was, in my 7 years at Little Rock Christian, I probably had 7 or 8 sophomore football players that should have been starting for me at the varsity level, but weren't ready from a maturity, physicality, emotional state, that they would have been starters for me in Tennessee or Alabama or Virginia had they had that freshman year to get acclimated to varsity football. So I thought this is a detriment. And secondly, we all know that those of us that have coached a long time know that there's always kind of that tough time for boys to transition from one level to another. And so I've seen this everywhere in my career in all the states I've coached, is guys, they go from junior high to high school, and they say, oh, I'm scared, I'm going to take a year off. Well, in states that's the 9th grade, I can get them back their sophomore year, and we got 3 years of development. Well, in Arkansas, if they take that sophomore year off and they go, I'm going to play my other sport and I'll come back the junior year, it's really tough to get them to catch up in that short time frame. So the big picture is that I don't think the kids are developed as fast as the other Southern football culture states because of that. The second problem I see is the seventh graders get neglected from what I have seen, in the places I've been able to, coach against and so forth, and even our seventh grade at Little Rock Christian for that matter. So because of the high emphasis on ninth and eighth, sometimes the seventh graders get put on the back burner. Now, let's think about this. They've been playing fourth, fifth, and sixth grade youth football, practicing 4 times a week, playing, once or twice a week. They get to seventh grade, and some of these schools, they only practice twice a week, and they have 120 guys, and they're not getting developed. So I think it hurts your seventh graders and your ninth graders' overall high school football program by underdeveloping, because Arkansas does not have a 9 through 12, varsity football makeup like the others, all the states that I know of in the whole United States, especially the southern states that are the football culture, and so to answer your question specifically on the small schools, is we've got more and more schools going 8-man football. Well, if I've got 24, and by the way, I just need to say this because, I get labeled, Little Rock Christian, it is an affluent school, and this and that. I grew up in the poorest part of this country in the Ozarks. Now, I'm on the Missouri side, so I wish at times that I had, graduated from an Arkansas Ozark high school, because me being an outsider has been tough, but I grew up in the Ozarks, right on the Missouri-Arkansas border, as poor as can be in the United States. So I know what small school, poor facilities, poor socioeconomics are. And so I just think that, when we go to these small schools, let's say I'm a 2A school and I got 24 kids, and I'm worried about playing, and maybe I need to drop to 8-man, and I could add the 8 or 10 freshmen. Now I'm up to 30, 32, kids if I add the freshmen. And yes, most of them won't be able to start, but it helps with practice. It helps you not to avoid, 1 or 2 of those guys will be able to contribute and help on special teams and depth, and they develop quicker. It helps some of these smaller 2As that are going to 8-man stay 11-man football. And then even, there were times this year, even at Little Rock Christian, we're playing 6A football where we suited up 21 guys to play JV. So if I've got a squad of now 35, I can probably take 16 guys, 17 guys, and play 4 or 5 JV games, which is those guys under the lights. It develops them, gets them playing time, those freshmen and sophomores, the 4 or 5, freshmen that are able to fill in with special teams and backup roles at positions, then on varsity. It just, I think, helps the overall football. So if I'm a large school, it helps develop the kids quicker. If I'm a medium-sized school, it helps develop the kids quicker. And then if I'm a small school, it helps me field an 11-man football team, and even possibly play 3 or 4 JV games where the freshmen and sophomores that aren't starters get to play under the lights. So that may have been more you wanted to hear on the first question, but I've been harping on this for the 7 years I've been back in Arkansas. I went to college here, by the way. So, I was here in Arkansas in the early 90s at college. So I've seen that I think gives me an advantage of seeing the difference in Arkansas football from the early 90s till when I came back in 2017. And I also think coaching in Alabama, Tennessee, and Virginia, seeing some other, Southern football states, has helped me see some of the things that could help us quickly catch up to build a better football culture here in high school.
And I'm going to add to that a little bit. I'm going to say, number one, I appreciate Coach Cohu in a situation where in the middle of a season, he's trying to win a state championship, but he's still thinking about this. Number two, he's going out on a limb, because you're going to be attacked when you go out there and say this stuff the last part of it was demand local superintendents provide their coaches the time and infrastructure necessary to succeed. You're going to be attacked. You're and he's gone after Coach. I can't appreciate enough, because I love football. I grew up in Glenwood, Arkansas, 2A football as it stands. And, we would field 18 men on the team. And if I were them, if they offered 8-man, I wouldn't have wanted to go to it. And I'm glad that our coaches persevered and stuck with it and didn't fold up the programs like some of the local ones around. At the same time, I will say this. You don't know how many, I mean, we all know because we played football, we coach football, the life lessons you get there. I mean, I love all sports. There's something about football and the physical part and the mental part and what you have to go through that really teaches you lessons you can't get anywhere else. And these people that are folding up their programs going to 8-man, I mean, they're missing out on that. They're missing out on opportunities to get scholarships. You know, we're in the mindset, and he and I were in the same thing at our schools. A lot of times they think, well, if you're not going D1, you're not really going playing football. That is so wrong. I mean, and it provides people opportunities and educations and free education. I had a mom come gripe at me the other day a little bit about, when you coach my son, he didn't get a scholarship and he had to start off his life, whatever. I'm like, wait a minute. He got seen, but it made me start thinking, you know, every kid that plays football has an opportunity to get seen. And if they strike the fancy of the right coach to get to go to college for at least some of it off, maybe all of it off, but at least some of it off. And that's way ahead of where I was. I wouldn't be alive if it weren't for the game of football. I would have killed myself 50 times over when I was growing up because I had such a poor, horrible life as far as what I thought it was. And I was dirt poor. We didn't have anything, but I had football and I wanted to go. I didn't do that because my mama, and I did not want to miss football the next day. And that's how important it can be to people. And it's, you know, we don't want to say, well, it shouldn't be that important. It doesn't matter what we want. In Southern Arkansas, in rural Arkansas, it is sometimes everything they have. So I appreciate Coach doing that. And you're dead right. And Matt, this makes what me and you've been talking about, to me, all the more important that we drive this thing in the offseason and just try to help. But Coach, I appreciate it, because if you're getting attacked, I'll stand on the front right there with you and defend you, because there's no agenda that you could have. I went through and I thought, what other agenda could anybody think he had other than just something good? And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love football, and I echo everything, you know, Coach Kelley just said, and the benefits of it. And I want to see our state, because the talent level is there. Now, obviously, you know, we're not as big as Texas or Georgia, you know, numbers wise, but statistically, we should be putting out, you know, proportionally, that, you know, if whatever, you know, the size city Houston or Birmingham or Memphis is, like, for instance, Little Rock should be producing per capita the same number, if not more, because of Division I talent, Division II, et cetera, because there is the talent in this state, and I just think that it's underdeveloped, and I think that you know what Coach said, you know, probably the impetus on, you know, the biggest battle I have is I've seen through the decades the difference in administrative support for not just football but all sports, and I think that's a huge issue. But go ahead, Matt. I know you've got other questions.
Well, let me prove you right on something, Eric. Back in the early 2000s, I'm talking 03 through 08. Go back and look. I know for sure there were 2 years that Arkansas led the United States in Division I per capita.
Wow.
I know for a fact that we did. And there's no reason that it can't be close to that again. But, you know, all three of us know about 3 years ago was the first year in the history of high school football that the numbers decreased for participants than increased. So there's multiple reasons why we need to fight this fight.
Well, you know, living in Alabama as long as I have, and I spent, you know, I moved down here in 91 when I was 13 years old. So junior high, high school, came back in 2008. Two stepsons went through 6A football here in Alabama, went through recruiting processes. One of them ended up going to West Georgia. I have seen, and of course, Alabama, people start talking population density. Alabama's got about 1 million more people than Arkansas does. Well, Mississippi's got 500,000 less, but they put out, 30 more athletes a year in Division I football than we do. You know, and if you look at the core towns in Mississippi, even some of the poorer communities, they're putting out some really strong athletes, got some really strong football programs. You touched on something that I think is a hot button issue, and this is where it's going to come down from, Coach, is the local superintendents providing coaches with the necessary time and infrastructure. And when people hear infrastructure, I think the only thing they think of is just pure dollars.
Yeah.
What can and I think, and this is just me talking. So, in my opinion, I think this starts at the university level. I think the universities have got to do a better job of promoting the game within the state with the high schools. I know they do a great job talking to the coaches, bringing the coaches in, bringing you guys up for practices and bouncing questions off. And I mean, it happens in every state. The state universities are real good at that stuff. But from an infrastructure, I'm talking purely a cash point of view, what is it going to take? Because I know in Alabama, the youth programs are great. And I know you coached down here for a number of years. You know what I'm talking about. They start these kids at 5, 6 years old playing, and I'm not talking flag. I'm talking these kids start at 5 and 6 years old playing contact football. Some mamas are, I don't want my baby getting their head hit until they're 12 or 13. Well, by that point, and Coach, I'll tell you straight up, Mars Hill Bible here in Alabama is a 4A school.
Yeah.
Old people, they could come to Arkansas and beat the mess out of some 6 and 7A schools in Arkansas just because these kids have been playing the game longer and they've got really, really good coaching. And I know in Arkansas, there's a bunch of really, really good, dedicated high school coaches. So when you talk infrastructure, what are you saying as a head coach in Arkansas? What are you saying that y'all need?
Yeah, that's a great point, Matt. And let me just kind of tell you my background and we'll jump right into this. And I feel like I do have an advantage because, again, this state has changed. I came here to college and the football in 91, 92, 93 was significantly different than when I poof, my wife was from Memphis. And so I'm, my whole career, Tennessee and Alabama, I was at Liberty and Virginia. And so I crossed back over the Mississippi in 2017 after being gone, 20 some years, and it's changed. And but coaching those last several years in Alabama, everything revolves around football. You're good at what you want to emphasize. Okay. There's a reason Pulaski Academy was under Coach Kelley was very good, nationally ranked, one of the, probably the best team in the state, any classification, several years. And certainly one of the best perennial and nationally ranked because they emphasized it. It was important. You're good at what you emphasize. And what happens, here's the deal. Any job I've had in these other southern states, the superintendent is the guy hiring me, okay? And because his or her job is dependent on the success. This is where I'm going to get in trouble, and Kevin mentioned this earlier, but his or her job is dependent on the success level of the football program. So it's a big deal. It's a big situation. I know it's like that in Texas. I know it's like that in Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia. And so what I've seen, the biggest thing is, when I was, again, a kid growing up in the poor Ozarks, okay, is the superintendents and principals would all, if there was a math opening, a science opening, we got to find a coach. We've got to find a coach, okay? And I just think the administration's changed over the last 20, 25 years where they just don't emphasize, and this is what I told Richard on the interview, I just don't think it's an important thing. Sports are marginalized. Football also takes more people, okay? You can take the 2 best basketball players in the state of Arkansas, put them on the smallest classification team that exists and a good basketball coach, and they can play with the best 6As. And if they got the 2 best, you take the best football player in the state, put him on a small classification, they may be able to win the 2A title, maybe not, okay, with the best player or best two players, but they certainly can't compete with, the 6A, 7As, even if they got the best two players. It's just a different sport. It takes numbers. So back to your question, it takes, and what was amazing when I moved here to Arkansas is I think the coaches in Arkansas are actually just as good, if not better, than many of the coaches across the South, okay? But they don't have the same funding or infrastructure. And again, people will say dollars. Well, what if I have 2 plan periods to actually watch film and to prep and to plan? Because, our guys at Little Rock Christian, we're working 80 hours a week, okay? And we do have enough time and support and so forth. But I do realize that a lot of these teams we're playing, they don't have the time. They don't have the plan periods to watch the film and so forth. But I think, planning, for me to be successful, I have to have time to plan and organize every detail of a program that, we've got, 250 guys from 5th through, 12th grade. That's a lot of infrastructure. That's a lot of families. That's a lot of emails. That's a lot of phone calls. That's a lot of coaches you're over. It's a lot of different teams you're over. And, when I was in Huntsville, Alabama, we had, as you mentioned, I had 8 teams that were 1st grade through 6th grade even. Let alone the junior high school. So if you are expected to keep the same, number of classes as the teacher that's working 40 hours a week, it's going to be impossible for you to have an excellent football program because there's too much logistical management needed to be a successful football program. And again, I'm going to, really get in trouble here, but I think until it's prioritized, it's going to continue to take a back seat because I promise you in Mississippi and in Alabama and Georgia and Texas, it's a priority. Okay. Now, does that mean everybody loves sports and everybody loves football? No. But I promise you that, the coaches have enough time and they have enough coaches to be successful in these programs. Even these small Texas schools, they play 6A or 6-man football. But it's important to those communities. Community may only have 500 people, but that's an important thing. And I just think football is such an important community builder, such an important thing for our fabric of our society for young men that I'm going to keep harping on this.
I think to something you said, in the face of me getting beat down too, like you're about to get beat down for saying some of the things you've said, part of it comes from, it's like you said, we've got to emphasize it. Well, how do we get it emphasized? We've got to quit pretending that football and golf and football and tennis are the same important. They're not. Football funds itself, and in college, it funds 76% of all the other sports. In high school, it does the same, if not more, depending on your school. These other sports, if football didn't exist, they're negative revenue sports. There's no denying it. So, I had a conversation. This was great. Remember when Miami, the University of Miami, not many people know, it's a private university. When Coach Coker was down there, I got a chance to get to know the women's head basketball coach. And they were trying to build their program. And I was talking to her and I said, how's your relationship with the football program? How's your relationship with Coach Coker? She goes, I'm in his office every day during my off season asking if there's anything that I could do for him. I said, why is that? She goes, because if he wins, I know we get money. If they go to a bowl game, every coach on my staff gets better equipment to work with. We get better film stuff to watch. And she got it. And when people quit dropping it, look, just because we're emphasizing football doesn't mean we think the kids in golf and tennis aren't important. That's not what that means. That means we need the freaking money. We need them to do good so we can make some money, so we can have more playoff games. We can get more revenue in. We can sell more T-shirts in the bookstore, all that kind of stuff. And what we've got to do is everybody's got to drop it and agree. And some schools, last year I got called by some schools, offered jobs and asked questions and stuff. And I'm going and I really took it as a chance I want to see how they thought. And some of them are fighting sports. We don't want to be known as an athletic school. We're a school. That's an academic school. Y'all are, I want to say y'all are idiots. Because if your sports are doing better especially in today's world where people move around. You're going to have more kids. You're going to get those federal dollars for each kid. Sports, if we'll all just agree, are the front porch of every school for sure in the South. And if you accept that and quit fighting it, you're going to be a better school for it overall, top to bottom. And, you know, what I used to tell the teachers at PA when I was there, and I learned this when I was coaching in Texas, the teachers would be like, well, I don't understand why those coaches might get an extra period off. You know what you need to do? If you want that extra period off, go get you a coaching job somewhere.
Yeah.
And get that. Otherwise, quit griping, because when you go home at 3:30, we don't gripe and say, look at them driving off and we're just getting started. And we need to drop it and quit and put it where it is. You know, the woke world's got us all scared to say anything, and put it where it is. Football is important. Basketball, we need to keep emphasizing that because it'll pay for itself at least, you know, and we need to not be afraid to do it. But that's how you get it going, because it's like, how do you get it to emphasize? When people realize it makes money and pays for the other sports and gets you more kids in, if you're doing well, I'm going to tell you, if Bryant football sucks for the next 5 years, I want you to look at their school enrollment 5 years later when they suck. It's going to be down. That's just the way the world goes.
Well, you know, as a parent of a player, if I was fixing to move into an area, the first thing I'm going to do is look and see what the football program looks like. And I'm going to, that's going to be, yeah, academics are a big part of what we're going to do, because I want my child to succeed. He's got a 3.8 GPA. I want him to be a successful student, but I also want him to be part of a successful football program for a bunch of reasons. And a couple of the main reasons are it builds character, integrity. It teaches them work ethic. It gives them things that takes them on past high school. Even if they never play college football, it gives you something that no other sports just can't give you. It's a brotherhood. It's a bond that you have the rest of your life that's never gone. And that's the thing. I think that's one of the things that we've lost is the level of accountability that's given from being part of a football team, because you're dependent on the man next to you or the man on the other side, not just by yourself. Now, the individual sports are great. My son also runs track. He was 8th in the state in the 110 hurdle last year. Track teaches him certain things, and he's part of a team, but it's more individual than it is team related. Even though it's team sport, it's still an individual race. Football is that thing. It's that you're testing who you are on the inside, who you're going to be. And the coaches are constantly testing who you're going to be and how you're going to react. And it teaches you, because that's one thing. You said something interesting about Coach Kelley, about teachers complaining about, you know, well, how come they get an extra planning period, this, that, and the other. I know coaches that are at the building until 10, 11 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. There was a story here in Alabama. Coach lost a game. They hadn't won a game all year. They lost 51-0 last Friday night at Appalachian High School here in Alabama. The team that they played, their bus broke down and couldn't be fixed. He was the only licensed bus driver they had. He gets behind the wheel of the yellow cheese wagon, loads the team that just kicked his brakes in, loads them up on his school bus, drives them 3 hours home, and then drives 3 hours back and gets home at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's what football does for people. And it's beyond me. I look at the state of Arkansas, I look at the things that are going on in high school football, the teams that are folding, going to play 8-man, the teams that used to be little 2A schools, and 2A football was so important. I mean, I can remember as a little guy, and y'all may remember this guy's name. A guy used to be at Osceola, Clinton Gore. Clinton Gore was the head coach at Forest City High School. I thought Clinton Gore hung the moon when I was 8, 9, 10 years old in Forest City High School. He was the guy. Now, Forest City didn't win a state title when I was a little fella, but he was the head coach of the Forest City Mustangs. And to me, that was the biggest thing in my little small town, my little 13, 14,000 people town. Clinton Gore was a big deal. And I think Arkansas has got away from that. And I think it gauges the success of these communities. And I'd love to hear this point. How can you gauge the success on these proposed improvements in Arkansas high school football and the culture it's going to breed? because, looking at the poorer communities, I grew up in the Delta. So I look at what the Delta's doing. I look at the crime rate. I look at the guys that are going to jail early. The things that football could do, Coach, tell me what's the gauge? Like, where do you see the success? Is it graduation rate? Is it college attendance? I mean, what's the success that people need to be looking for?
Yeah, I think, Matt, absolutely. It gives a regimen and a discipline and character building. I know at the high school I graduated from, very few, we had about 120. We were a 3A school and only 80 graduated, okay, in the class. So we had 120, but, starting as freshmen or whatever, and then only 80 graduate, almost 40 drop out. And a lot of guys went to military, but it was amazing, the football guys that were able to, actually hold jobs and have, be solid citizens, because it gives young men a regimen and a discipline that young men need. Okay. And I think, and this is a big topic that you've kind of breached on, but, educationally, we may find out that the people, may have known more, than we thought, multiple decades ago by having more, and we're seeing more vocational schools, technical schools, and we're now seeing people saying, you know what, I do need to learn computers and job skills and things, and I'm going to save $200,000 instead of going to college and start working and making $60,000, $80,000 welding or this, that, and the other. So we've got to reshape the whole educational system in my mind. So you've kind of touched on something, but it's probably too big for this podcast, but football itself builds character for these young men in these poor, whether it's rural Delta, rural Ozarks, or urban Little Rock. It's an activity that allows these young men to function in society, to be good citizens, to learn work ethic, teamwork, how to function, how to take orders, how to, these are fundamental things that society needs. And the more we get away from that educationally, and that's, one of the big driving forces for my tweet is just seeing education and the leaders in education keep marginalizing athletics, when athletics are actually building the character traits necessary for a successful community. And I just get back to your small town thing. I just think, and everybody points to money. It's more than money. It's emphasis, it's time, it's saying, you know what, you don't have to cancel practice at 4 because of the teachers meeting and send those kids off and they're not prepared to play Friday night. We're going to give the 3 football coaches at 2A small school a pass to go ahead and have practice from 4 to 6 and not let those kids not get practice, and they've got to be forced into some kind of curriculum meeting or something. Everybody else is going to be there from 3:30 to 4:30 and then go home. These are things that used to be commonplace with administrators in they knew, oh, hey, these guys are working all weekend. They're working every night. So, they're not required to be, it's back to what Coach Kelley said on, there is a difference between a 3-man, 4-man golf team and a 120 person football team. You can't treat the two the same. Doesn't mean that the golfers aren't important. You may produce the world's best golfer, but, and football actually provides, access for some of those other things. But we've got to learn to prioritize things. And I promise you, my point in the tweet was, football is a priority in Texas high school football. It's a priority in Oklahoma. It's a priority in Mississippi, in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Georgia, in Florida, in Tennessee. I've even seen a resurgence in Southern Missouri in programs that are starting to say, you know what, we probably missed the boat letting these programs, go downhill. And you look at Nixa and Webb City and some of these places and things they're doing, and I'm seeing a resurgence there. So It's just got to be emphasized by these superintendents. And I promise you, if the superintendent is emphasizing it, they'll find a way. I just believe that wholeheartedly.
You know, going from the administrative part of it, I mean, what you're saying is absolutely correct. I mean, it's got to be an emphasis from the top down. It's got to be an emphasis on, hey, I want this for this reason. And I think that's what folks have lost sight of in certain communities is the advantages of what football can do for their young men and what it can do, not only for the football players, the band members, the color guard, the dance teams, the rifle squads, the ROTC, the cheerleaders. I mean, there's so many more that are affected that are part of all this that don't get an opportunity. I mean, how many band kids don't get an opportunity to be in a marching band because they don't have a school big enough to field a football team, or the kids won't come out, or for whatever reason. And we could walk circles around this all night long. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's going to take a concerted effort between some of what I call the power figures in Arkansas high school football. You, Coach Kelley, get Coach Bo Henry down at Warren. Some of these guys that have got a name, that have got a platform to start talking and be loud and be vocal about it, and get the attention of the right folks. You know, I'd love to see. I want to talk some more about it. I know, Coach, we promised we wouldn't keep you long. I know you got to get prepared for Friday night. Kane Archer's a tough ball player. I'm just going to tell you, I had not seen that young man until Russellville played him a couple of weeks ago. Ooh, you got a handful Friday night. Good luck against Greenwood. I hope you guys get them. I know it's going to be a tough one, and we're going to be pulling for the Warriors on Friday night. I want to see y'all win that ball game.
Hey, just because I want to see Coach's expression, I do a Wednesday radio show on the Buzz, and they asked me, I had to make a prediction on that today and a couple other things, and a couple other games, high school games, college games, all that. And I was thinking about it, and at first I watched y'all annihilate PA. That hurt me. But that was a heck of a job. Y'all are as prepared as any team I've ever seen Little Rock Christian coached, and they've had some guys who've done some good jobs. And then I watched Greenwood beat PA the other night, so I got to see the two. I really think, I think I told you, I alluded to the fact that they're married to their defense. I think that's going to enable some things to open up for you guys. But that kid, I hate when they overblow a quarterback. Even Walker, who I love, Walker White's family, coaches all of his brothers. I hate when they overblow a sophomore quarterback and put a lot of pressure on them and say they're bigger than they are, better than they are. And he's the first one I've ever seen, Archer, where I'm like, God, I'm not sure they overblew this kid. He's the real deal. And he's pretty dang good. So y'all have got your hands full, but I think it's going to be a very close football game. But I did predict, it's going to be in Greenwood. I did predict Greenwood to beat you guys, not necessarily pulling for Greenwood, just predicted that Greenwood beat you guys in a very close game. But best of luck to you. I'm pulling for you as our down the street buddies and rivals. And now that I'm not coaching against you, heck, I'm pulling for you, especially since I know you're fighting for football and love football. But best of luck to you. And I want you to know, in case anybody brings it up, Kelley picked the other team. Got to make a pick. It's at Greenwood. If it had been at LRCA, hey, might have been different.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on, fellas. I already knew Kevin, so they'd already told me that you'd predicted
it wasn't malicious.
So it wasn't malicious. It's going to be a fun game. Those are the games again because and I know you guys got to move on, but Greenwood, Warren, Harrison, there's solid programs across the state that need to be emulated, because I promise you they're emphasized the importance of football at those communities, at those schools. And I don't believe that we should punish successful programs at all, and so I know, that's another topic, another thing, but I think we should try to get as many teams successful as possible, not just, punish the ones that have been successful. But anyway, I'm hoping we play well Friday night. We'll have to. Thanks, fellas.
See ya. Thank you, Coach.
Real quick, want to make sure we get in our mainline sponsor for Big Pig Energy, Barley and Vine in Bentonville, Arkansas. If you're ready for mouth-watering tavern-style pizza and a drink menu that'll make you say cheers, and head on down to Barley and Vine in downtown Bentonville. They specialize in scrumptious pizzas ranging from your basic cheese to chef-inspired specialty pies you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. Barley and Vine's got 32 beers on tap featuring local brewery favorites and a curated selection of regional craft beers. Maybe you're more of a wine person. Don't worry, they got you covered there too. They got a choice selection of wine from around the globe. And don't miss out on their pint and a slice deal on Friday and Saturdays. Get a slice of house pizza and a featured beer of the week for just $7. So what are you waiting for? Make your way to Barley and Vine this weekend. They'll have the Hog game on at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, where pizza, beer, and wine and Razorback sports live in perfect harmony. As diehard Razorback fans, their passions extend beyond pizza and beer and wine. They're all about that Big Pig energy too. Coach, I loved what Coach Cohu, I'm going to butcher it.
Cohu.
I'm going to butcher it. He's going to watch it later and like, that guy's an idiot. I love what he said. I mean, it's absolutely vital for the success of the state, I think, and for the football programs for Arkansas high school football to get better. And I look forward to having more conversations about this as the off season gets here. I love watching high school football. Down here, it's a religion. I'm going Friday night. Bo doesn't have a game this week, so I'm going to ride out and watch one of Arkansas's recruits, Kavion Henderson from Leeds, play up at Center Point Friday night. My son and I are going to ride out and watch him and his guys take on Center Point High School. And I know what it does for the little bitty towns here in Alabama. I know how important it is, and I believe it can be important again in Arkansas. I mean, guys like Bo Hembry down in Warren. I mean, Warren's in the middle of damn nowhere, and that nothing but produce athletes, produce D1 college talent, and people are like, well, it's Warren. Well, no, it's not just Warren. It's the culture, it's the community. Everybody's bought in from 5-year-old all the way up to high school. Everybody's bought into the program. Everybody's there. I mean, look at the job Caleb Perry's doing at Bauxite. I mean, when's the last time Bauxite was one of the best teams in 4A? I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's guys like that. You know, we're losing good coaches too. I mean, Jeff Conaway went down to Florida. Your buddy from Shiloh. A couple years ago, Josh Floyd comes from Shiloh down here to Alabama, to Trussville, Alabama, and been here I think almost 10 years now. To coach 7A ball here in Alabama. So I mean, it's but there's still really good coaches in the state, and I hate to see the high school game. I don't want to say it's dying, but I definitely would say it's sick. Because I'm serious. You take that 4A Mars Hill team there in Alabama.
Yeah.
They'll beat Conway's brakes off.
Yeah.
Just because they're so fundamentally better. You know, their offensive line so much fun. Their defensive lines are so much fundamentally better. It's insane. But shifting gears, talking about the Hogs. I mean, we hadn't done one in 2 weeks. We didn't do a podcast after the Alabama game for obvious reason. I was still kind of licking my wounds, didn't want to talk about it. Losing by 3. They go around homecoming, lose 7-3 to Mississippi State. The following morning, I mean, it wasn't even, the ink wasn't dry on the game, and Dan Enos gets cut loose. So we've had the bye week now. KG, Kenny Guyton's been made the interim OC. What do you see, Coach? I mean, I'm looking offensively. We're 67th on third down, 110th on first down, 104th passing, 112th rushing, 120th overall in total offense. Through 8 games, they're only averaging 305 yards a game. That's, I think, 175 yards less than last year. Does this shifting gears, does this save the season, or does it just kind of put a Band-Aid on a knife wound?
No, it puts a Band-Aid on a knife wound, and it'll provide a spark. The sad thing to me is anytime there's a change on a terrible happening or the way the season's going, think about the expectations Razorback fans had at the beginning of the season. We may compete for the West, big time bowl game. Do we get to double-digit wins? Then you go through the crap that they went through, and you're like, okay, it's just awful. You're looking for anything to change. Things changed. I think that'll be a spark because it's human nature to provide a spark. And the bad thing is, I really think they'll play Florida close, if not have a chance to win, because of that spark. But then it's going to fall right back off, and you get a guy, and maybe Guyton will fool me, but I'm going to say this. I mean, it's hard to call football plays. You got 40 seconds from the time the last player hits the ground before the next play starts. And in there, you got to get your personnel in, call a formation. You got to know, what did I see 3 plays ago when we were on this hash in this formation that I can attack that weakness? All that processing. Then you got to think about, well, how's my quarterback doing right now on 3-step drop? How's he doing on 5-step? How's he doing on what, is that what I need to do? And you got all that stuff's got to be bam, bam, bam. It's really tough. I feel bad. I'm glad the guy's getting a chance to do something, call a play. I'm sure he's looking forward to it, but man, I feel bad that you're having to do it in the SEC. It's the first time you've ever called a play. The good thing is we will see the Razorbacks with a little spark, but give me 3 weeks to evaluate how it goes. I'm not counting this first week as anything. Give me 3 weeks to evaluate how this goes. Because it's to me, it's like this. You ever get up when you're a kid on Christmas morning and you see a toy, in there, you go unwrap the presents and you're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. 2 days later, you got it on the back of your closet and you never play with it again. To me, that's what this will be. You get that spark on Christmas morning and then you put it in the back of the closet. You're like, well, that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. That's what could happen, because this is just the offense, and this part is just a small piece of what we need to fix at the University of Arkansas.
I mean, if you look at the team, I mean, the defense has obviously been carrying it. I mean, the 32nd total defense, 31st or 51st against the run, 32nd against the pass. I think they've only 8 games. They've only allowed an average 201 yards against the pass.
And who would have guessed that going into the year, that the defense would be carrying us?
The first episode, if we finish in the top 50 in defense, we'll probably win 9 games.
Right.
You thought the offense would tank. I really didn't. I mean, when you've got a 3-year starter coming back as a quarterback, you got a 2-year starter and a stud running back coming back that hadn't played but 2 games this year. That
we're even talking about Heisman for one of them.
Exactly. Well, actually, kind of both. I mean, if you go back to
kind of both, yeah.
They were kind of tossing both names around as a dark.
Yeah.
Looking at what they've done, I told somebody this week, talking to an Alabama fan on Monday this week, they asked me, what do you expect? And I said, I really don't expect much. I mean, because it's been so bad, I don't expect much. I don't go into this game with the anticipation of them coming out and going 400 or 500 yards. They could lose by 3, and this really goes back to more about Florida than it does Arkansas, because Florida's offense has been really inconsistent all year. They'll have a great game and then they'll tank one. Then they'll have a great game and then they tank one. I mean, they played terrible against Tennessee, played terrible against Georgia, and that says something about. I mean, it's Georgia. I mean, come on, but it's still Tennessee's not the Tennessee team from last year. I mean, they're good, but they're not what they were last year at the same time. It says more to me of, at some point, the defense is going to look at this and go, why are we pushing so hard? Are they playing? Because there's some guys that are playing their butts off that, in my opinion, are playing their butts off because they know the draft's coming in tape evaluation with scouts.
Right.
And they're trying to boost their draft stock.
Right.
They're still hustling. They're still doing it. And it says something about the job that Travis Williams has been able to do and Marcus Woods has been able to do to keep these guys elevated through a 6-game losing streak, because they hadn't got blown out. I mean,
yeah. Now, what I don't want to happen, though, Matt, is us to overreact and all of a sudden do something dumb like Pittman decides to resign or something, and they move Travis Williams to head coach. I mean, whoa. And the reason I say that is this: he's done a nice job, especially what we had to work with. But flip it over, and right now, if you're coming in and you're playing Arkansas, you don't have to score very many points to win the football game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think teams are playing a little more close to the vest and not moving it up and down the field. which makes the numbers for our defense look a little better too, because they're getting in head-to-head matches with us, because we know we don't have to do anything flashy to beat Arkansas. We just, I mean, if you're Mississippi State, you just had to score 4 points. You know, you didn't have to keep trying to throw the ball down the field. So while Coach has done a good job on defense, and the whole staff evidently has, they're way better than we thought. We would have taken this, like you said, we'd have taken this and thought maybe 9 wins. But at the same time, I hope we don't jump the gun and just do some knee jerk. Well, our defense has been great. Let's give those guys double their salaries or whatever. They've done a good job, but they get paid well to do a good job. So we need to start expecting this at Arkansas rather than being like, oh, man, this is the greatest thing. You see what I'm saying? If you expect it, you get it about 90% of the time. And if you're surprised by it and happy with it, you get about 10% of the time.
Well, and I think from a fan base point of view, and the discussion happens a lot on social media, is acceptance of mediocrity. I mean, you look at the history of Arkansas football for the last, I mean, I've been alive 44 years, 45 in January. Of my 45 years, my best years of Razorback football were the late 80s for me. I mean, if we think about it, Coach Hatfield's years were my best years because we won.
That's depressing. That's depressing.
No. But, I mean, if you think about it, those are my best years because we won 10 games like 4 times.
Right.
Southwestern Conference 3 times. Now, Coach Hatfield, bless his heart, couldn't get it done in a bowl game. I mean, we'd get wild draws with UCLA or some West Coast team, right? Wide open offense that we ain't seen all year,
right?
Just get our breaks beat in a bowl game. But you look at it. I mean, Houston Nutt won 10 games. What, twice, 3 times, twice? Yeah, twice. He won 10 games. Bobby won it once, more than 10 games. So, I mean, it's not like we've had this sustained success. And I think, and I say this a lot, I think it matriculates back to the high school football programs, the issues that we're seeing with high school, high school numbers dropping off, kids not coming to play. We're not developing the talent like we used to. We're not putting out the players, and everybody's like, well, what about, in NFL? I am not talking about NFL. Now, the out-of-state guys, if I'm an out-of-state player and I'm looking at Arkansas, the only reason I would want to come to Arkansas is 1, playing time. I can play early. Or 2, I know I've got a good enough relationship with that coach and he's going to help me get to the next level. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to with college football is, and we didn't really talk about this earlier. I wish I'd brought it up with Coach Cohu, but it's a situation where you look at what Alabama was before Nick Saban got there as far as the facilities and the campus, and look how much has changed over the last 17 years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's brand new buildings everywhere. And all those buildings for because the football team was successful.
Right.
Getting new stuff at baseball. All this money's getting generated. People are more apt to donate when you win.
During the Auburn tenure, I went to a game down there recently. And during the Auburn tenure, when they were winning, Gus was there. Chiswick won a national championship. Gus went back. They were competing for SEC titles. They raised, I wouldn't have dreamed a president of a university would have this as a goal. They set a goal at $1 billion over just a handful of years and raised $1 billion while football was good. Mm-hmm. So you want to know why college presidents that have good football teams are quick to fire guys and quick to hire guys. They're like, look, if this cost us $15 million to buy this guy out, but we're losing $30 million a year from having him on our guy as our guy. And so you're right. I mean, football, just like we talked about high school a while ago, football is a front porch to every university too. And now with the TV money, it makes money. It supports all those other sports. I saw a thing the other day. There's only two college baseball teams that pay for themselves. 2. And college baseball is getting to be a big deal. And, and football is needed for that. And we all know this. If they go to a bowl, they make money. If they're in a conference where they got TV, they make money. If they're good, they make money. And then the money's going to start, like you said, people want to give to winners. They want to be a part of a winner. That has never changed in the history of the world, and it never will.
Doesn't matter.
And that's why it's important. By the way, Houston Nutt won 10 games 1 year in 2006. I believe that was the Darren McFadden year, was it not?
Yep. That was the Gus was the OC.
That was also the only time we've ever played 14 games in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
So we went 10-4.
Yeah, 10-4. And it's indicative of the condition of the state. I think at the end of the day, it comes down, and I've said this privately, and I'll say it on here. It's going to take a grassroots effort of football coaches and concerned parents, former players from the universities. I can go down a list of guys on my hand right now. I got 10 guys in my pocket that have said, look, if you guys start this, I'll support it.
Yeah.
Because they see the value in it. They know what it did for their life and how it changed their life. And these are guys that had a cup of coffee in the NFL.
Right.
They're having to work for a living now.
Right.
Give back. They want to do something philanthropic to help grow the university. Yeah. I really look at this thing, going back to KG, they closed practice this week. That's been a big stink on social media. Nobody likes that. The media doesn't like it.
Right.
They're not happy about it. I understand why he did it. I be honest with you, I'd have probably done the same thing. But at the end of the day, people ask me this question, and I'm gonna bring this up. But if Arkansas loses, say, the next 3 out of 4, does Sam Pittman retire or get fired? That's the question everybody's asking right now.
I think the answer is yes.
I think he retires.
Yes, I think he retires.
I really do. I think he retires, and I really think that your worst case scenario, I think they actually look from within. I think because the 24 class is so strong, there's so many good kids in that class, you almost have to, because you've got to keep that class together.
That's a mistake. I'm telling you. You not if you go out and get somebody that they want to play for.
But I'll ask you this: when has Arkansas ever broke the bank to hire a head coach?
Well, that's half our problem. Like a lot of things, you get what you pay for, right? Now, and I say that to say, I think you get what you pay for on the initial hire. Mm-hmm. You don't pay Sam, and he gets. I'm glad he gets to make what he's making. I'm not throwing. But there's no way I start him off at $3.2 million and I double his salary when he wins 6 games one year. Yeah. Wins 9 games and wins 6 games. I'm not doubling your salary. You signed a contract. Nobody was coming to take him from us. But I think you get what you pay for on the initial guy. If we go out and pay somebody $9 million a year, we're going to get a pretty good football coach. We can lure a lot of people away that are really good football coaches for that. If we go out and offer somebody $6 million a year, that's a lot of money to me and you, mm-hmm. But that ain't a lot of money in the football world anymore because they know they can get fired the next year. And so we've got to do it and do it right, where we're not looking for a second tier, third tier, trying to find a diamond in the rough that hasn't proven anything. And we're going to be the one to find. If you find that guy and you're paying him, $6 million. He's going to stay there for 2 years, and there's some big school that's going to pay a lot of money. He's going to buy him out and bring him in. Mm-hmm. So you got to pay him at the beginning, get who you want. Just go out just one time. Could we put our money where we want our mouth to be and see what happens? Just once.
And that's the thing that I keep looking at is I look at the young coaches that are out there. And the one guy that has really has gotten my attention is Dan Lanning.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to sit down with him for an hour and just listen to him.
Yeah.
On the wall for a day in his program, because the things that I'm hearing, because I know some kids that are playing out there, some parents that are involved with that program at Oregon. That's the kind of guy I'd love to see at Arkansas. He's young. He's aggressive. He knows the SEC. And he also has some mainline connections into Georgia, Alabama, Texas. And if you can recruit in Oregon, in Eugene, you can recruit anywhere. Because I'm telling you right now, there ain't crap in Eugene, Oregon, except Nike and that university. That's it. And it's hard to get to.
Yeah.
Real quick, we're going to get into lifestyle. We're gonna hit one more ad, and then we're going to get into the pick 'em, and we'll get out of here. Lifestyle Print Company. Partner of Big Pig Energy. They do all our t-shirts. We're still running the contest, guys. Go out and get your Big Pig Energy t-shirts. All the profits from the t-shirts to the Fayetteville Boys and Girls Club, 100%. So go out and get your T-shirts today. You can even get one that says hashtag Coach Never Punts. It's got Coach Kelley's ad on the front of it. It's really cool. I've actually got one of each coming. I think I ended up buying 16 shirts. I'm gonna wear a different one to the gym every week. Made by Lifestyle Print Company, founded and based out of Vancouver, Washington. It started out as a men's mental health group, but now it leads the community in mental health awareness through service projects and custom apparel. BMBB is not just a lifestyle, it's a brand. Check them out. They're on the internet, bmbblifestyle.com. Now we're going to get into the pick 'em. We haven't done one in a couple of weeks. I really don't know where the record is. So I'm going to say, hey, we're going to go 0-0 from here on out. We'll see. I was getting my brains kicked in. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat.
That's like when I was a kid and used to play in the neighborhood. I'd be like, I forgot the score. We're playing wiffle ball. I forgot the score. I think it was like 20-4, but we're going to start it over at 0.
We're going to start it at 1-1, and everybody's happy. First game on the schedule: Kansas State at Texas. Texas lost a big one the other day. UT -4. Over and under is 49.5. This game is in Austin. I don't think Kansas State has won in Austin since Bill Snyder was coaching, not the last time, but the time before that. So Kansas State's been on kind of a streak, been on a run. What do you think, Coach? Kansas State or Texas?
Is Quinn Ewers still out for Texas?
It's still out. They are playing the redshirt freshman.
Then I'm going Kansas State. Yeah, I watched him play last week. Not impressed.
No, they scored a lot of points, but he did not look good in the pocket. He looked a little dancy. His footwork was kind of screwy. I'm with you. I think Kansas State takes this game. I actually am going to take the under in this game. I think it's going to be under 49.5.
That's probably a good play.
Yeah, I think it is. Texas A&M at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 3 at home. Over and under is 53.5. A&M's coming off a win against South Carolina last week, a really bad South Carolina team.
Yeah, I know. Surprising how bad they are.
They did not fix their offensive line.
No.
Bottom line, their offensive line is terrible, and Rattler's having to run for his life. Over and under is 53.5. This game's in Oxford. Coach, A&M or Ole Miss?
Oh, God. I'm going to go with – I'm big into third down efficiency now, and that's why I think the Hogs have a chance against Florida, which we'll talk about later. But A&M's a lot better. They're at 44% to 36 for Ole Miss. So I'm going to go with A&M.
You know, I was looking at this. I think A&M has still got some issues. You know, they're down another quarterback. Their running game has been spotty. And at times, Bobby has not looked like Bobby from his play call, as far as the aggressiveness of his play calling. I've been a little disappointed with it, and I don't know if it's because of the quarterback situation. The other thing is this game's at 11 o'clock in the morning. A&M does not play great at 11 o'clock for whatever reason. I want to say over the last 2 years, and I looked this up the other day, they're like 6-10 over the last 10 years or something, 6-5, whatever it is, over the last 10, 11 years at 11 o'clock in the morning. They don't play well early. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm going Ole Miss. I think Judkins is going to be too much. I think Jackson Dart's too mobile. I think it's going to be the over. I think it's going to be over 53.5, but I'm taking Ole Miss in this one. This one's going to be a fun one. Mizzou only lost one game. Going in between the hedges against Georgia. Georgia's favored by 15.5 after a beatdown of Florida in the world's largest cocktail party last weekend. But the over and under is only 54.5. I know you really like Eli and what he's doing at Mizzou, Coach. Do you think they stand a chance against the Dogs in Athens?
Here's what I think, that there will be a point in this game. No, it may be the first quarter where everybody's like, God, maybe Missouri can pull this upset.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and you know, I'm a little biased because I got to go up there during March and visit with them and got to send them some plays and talk through some stuff. So I may be a little biased, but what I do like about Eli, very smart, uses analytics. He's down to earth. He's not playing around with being somebody he's not. He's and he has his guys believing. And whether we like it or not, Columbia, Missouri, I'm not sure there's a harder place to recruit to. Maybe Starkville, maybe. And this guy's getting it done on nowhere in the SEC. And this ain't the first time he's played better than his team. I mean, they've played better than their talent is. I think it'll be a close game. I think they cover the spread for sure. Georgia's probably too much, so I'm going to say Georgia wins the game. But I would not be surprised if Missouri pulled the upset.
Looking at Georgia's last 4 games, played Auburn 27-20. Beat Kentucky 51-13, Vandy 37-20, Florida 43-20. So I mean, they've won by an average. Well, the last 3 games they've won by an average 21 points almost. The Auburn game shocked me. I did not see them going into Auburn and it being a 7-point ball game. Now that's a rivalry game. It was in Auburn.
With Auburn having a chance to win.
Auburn did have a chance to win right now.
Yeah.
And Georgia's done that the last couple of years. They did it against Missouri last year. They went up to Cohu and struggled.
Yeah.
I mean, they were this close to losing against Missouri on the road. Looking at Missouri's last 3, I mean, they just beat the brakes off South Carolina. They really, the score at Kentucky was 38-21, but it wasn't that close.
Yeah. They got down 14-0 and outscored them 38-7 to finish it.
Yep. And then LSU, they lost by 10. They beat Vandy by 2 scores, and they beat Memphis by 2 scores. Looking at this Missouri team, I mean, I've said all year I'm not really a believer in them yet. If they can hang with Georgia, and I mean hang with them, and I don't think it's going to come down to like last possession type thing, Coach. But I'm saying if they can stay within 3 points of Georgia throughout this game, they'll gain my respect for the rest of the year. I said this the other day. I'm really concerned if they win this game because their schedule is easy the rest of the year. They really don't play the rest of the season. I think Tennessee's like the next toughest game they're going to have, and I think it's in Knoxville. But they could come into Fayetteville and drop 40 on us because it's going to give them. They beat Georgia in Athens. It's going to raise their confidence level through the roof, and Eli's just going to get that much more cocky. It would do him nothing but come in Fayetteville on the day after Thanksgiving and just beat the doors off of us to finish off a bad season. And that's the thing that it concerns me the most. Shocking last week, OU loses. Couldn't believe that. That one blew my mind. I couldn't believe Kansas. I think that first time they beat OU in, I don't know, 10 years or something.
It was crazy. It was a crazy number, yeah.
Crazy number. It's just insane. OU at Oklahoma State, Stillwater games, Bedlam games, always a big game in Northeast Oklahoma. OU's favored by 5.5 on the road, over and under 60.5. Coach, who you got?
Man, it's tough because Oklahoma State has decided to turn and hand the ball off.
Yep.
And the kid they got, that Gordon kid, 270-something yards last week. He's averaging 7.7 yards a carry. So you hand it to him, he's getting you 8 yards. And that's tough. Oklahoma, God, they freak me out as far as the way they play. They look, to me, sometimes they look really good. And then, you beat Texas. I thought that was a good win for them. Beat UCF. I thought that was a good win. They lose a close one to Kansas. I think they're the better football team, so I'm going to go with them. Again, though, it wouldn't surprise me for Oklahoma State to beat them.
Yeah, I was looking at this. I honestly, I think the Cowboys can win.
I think they could, easy.
They could. I mean, you look at the way Oklahoma played last week, the things that Kansas was able to do to them defensively to kind of quiet Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
Really got after Gabriel on Saturday. I think Oklahoma State's got the front four to do it. Oklahoma still, I'm not sold on Venables as a head coach yet. I'm just not quite.
I'm not either.
Not quite there yet. The guy's a great DC. He's a defensive coordinator.
Agreed.
Not sold that he's a head coach.
Yeah.
LSU at Bama. This is a big game down here. These folks they're chomping at the bit. It essentially, I think this game is, if Bama wins, they've locked the West up. Because I don't think there's anybody that's going to touch them the rest of the season. LSU, Alabama's favored by 3 at home. I think it's the smallest margin they've had all year at home outside of the Texas game. Over and under 60.5. It is a night game in Tuscaloosa on CBS. Brian Kelley, they beat Bama last year. Can Brian Kelley do something that nobody's done and beat Nick Saban 2 years in a row?
And the same would be said for the quarterback. He would be the only quarterback. No, I take that back. One other quarterback. And I forgot who it was. We looked it up on the buzz the other day. But Jaden Daniels would be the only quarterback to ever beat him back-to-back. Yeah. That said, you know what? The stat that's big in this game that I mean is really, really, really big is, again, that third down. I'm gonna tell you a number that's insane. LSU is converting 57.1% of its third downs right now. That's good for 5th in the country. 57.1% of the time they continue their drive if they even get to third down. That is a big number. That's what it takes against teams like Alabama. I think they go in and pull the upset. I think LSU. I think it'll be a good game. I will tell you this though, but I'm a quarterback guy. I take their quarterback over Milroe any day and every day of the week.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, a lot of my Alabama friends don't like to hear me say this, but I still think Alabama's going to lose 3 games this year.
You've been saying that the whole year.
Saying it all year, and they've come real close twice.
Yeah,
they let off the hook. And Arkansas's offense been able to play a little better. We'd have got them in Tuscaloosa.
Right.
I mean, they're not. This is not your typical Nick Saban football team. This team's got a lot of holes. A lot of undisciplined stuff going on from a penalty perspective. Has been for the last couple of years. I think LSU is going to win this game -6. I think they're going to win by more than a touchdown.
Wow.
And I think it's directly because of Jalen Daniels. I mean, looking at that third down stat, I looked at them. They have more in the SEC. They have more third and shorts than any team in the SEC. That means that they are getting ahead of the chains on second down.
Yeah.
He is throwing the ball past the sticks. He ain't doing these little 5-yard outs and these little bubble screens and the crap that we've been doing for the last 8 games. They're throwing the ball vertical down the field. They're throwing the ball into the middle of the boundary, right into the middle of the field and staying away from the boundary. So they're staying ahead of the sticks on second down. And I think that's what's so important is they're having positive offensive plays going from 2nd and 8 to 3rd and short, or getting first down on 2nd and 8. And that's, I think, the key for this game is, can they stay ahead of the sticks against Alabama? But I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win -6 against Alabama at home. I think Saban's going to lose the second game at home for the first time since 2007.
Wow.
I mean, that's how long it's been. It's been 17 years. They haven't lost 2 games at home in 17 years.
Not too many people have that problem.
That's insane. I would give one of my kids away if we could not lose 2 games at home. I love my kids, and they're going to watch this, and they're going to be like, "Damn, which one is it?" Because I got 3, so they're going to be like, "Well, which one?"
Right. That's the part you got to keep a secret.
Yeah, I'll never tell. Well, I might write them a letter after I'm read after I'm gone. 11 o'clock, ESPN2. Arkansas is traveling to Gainesville. Teams flying down there Friday. Beginning of the season, a lot of people had this game circled because they're like, because we don't play well in games. We've been screwed in games before. Florida is favored -6, over and under is 50.5, which I think is probably, if I'm a betting guy, I'm taking the under in this game. There's no way I'm betting the over. Just because, I mean, perhaps we're 120th in the country in offense. Coach, where are you at on this game? I mean, Arkansas -6 or Florida -6 on the road at home. Years past, it would have been 14, 20, 24 points. I mean, it would have been a stupid number, but -6.
So you're seeing a rematch of whatever that year that was. We played them in the SEC championship. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
When we dropped the punt and the whole deal. Well, normally I would say Florida in this situation wins pretty easily. Razorbacks lost 6 in a row. We have no hope of anything hardly. We got to win out to do whatever, maybe to save a job here or there. New guy calling the plays. But Florida, I think, has just been physically beaten down by Georgia, because we can still say what we want to. They're still going to physical you into submission. They barely beat a bad South Carolina team. Arkansas's got a little spark. Plus, Florida has LSU coming up on deck the next week. Nothing to look. I mean, everything to look ahead to. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see Arkansas play a close game and have a chance to win at the end. I'm still going to go with Florida winning it, but I'm going to say Arkansas covers the spread pretty easily.
You know, I've been looking at this the last couple of days trying to figure out which way I wanted to go. Because, I mean, we're sitting right where we were sitting in 2019. We're 2-6 and we're 0-5 in conference. You know, I'm not asking for 10 wins. I'm not asking for 9. I'm asking for a 500 conference record. We haven't had a 500 conference record in years. I mean, you got to go back to Bobby P to the last time we had a 500. I don't even think Brett Bielema had a 500 conference record when he was here. ESPN's matchup predictor is 51% to 48%.
Wow.
According to ESPN's analytics as far as the matchup predictor. So this game's 50-50. I mean, that's basically a pick 'em in their eyes. I look at this, and the thing that I'm concerned about, what I've been looking at, KJ Jefferson looks slow. He doesn't look like the KJ Jefferson that's played in the last couple of years. And you can say, well, it was the Dan Enos effect, or it was this, or it's the offensive line, or it's that, or this, that, and the other thing. I see a team that offensively is they don't know who they are. They haven't known who they are all year. And I don't know, coming off a bye week and a coordinator change, that they're going to find their identity and get back to what they were, because they didn't know what they were to start the year. I think the defense has known what they've been all year long. I think they've known they got enough talent to hang in games. And they have. They've hung in games with LSU, hung in a game with Alabama. Again, we talked about Alabama before, not the same team as it was 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. But I'm looking, when is it going to break? You know, I said a couple of weeks ago that I felt like we were steering toward the ditch. Well, now we're in the ditch. We've been in the ditch for a couple of weeks. Losing to Mississippi State at home, probably the worst team in conference outside of us right now. Losing to them at home on homecoming, that effectively drove the Corvette into the ditch. So the Corvette's sitting in the ditch. What is Sam Pittman going to do to get this team out of the ditch? And I just don't know that taking a coordinator, getting rid of a coordinator, putting in a guy that's never called a play in high school, never called a play in a flag football game, never called a play in a college game, making him the OC. Now, you know, you listen to the media says, well, you know, there's rumors, or he's going to be tabbed at Ohio State after Brian Hartline moves on from Ohio State, because him and Ryan Day. Believe what you want. Maybe Ryan Day does call him up one day and say, hey, I want you to be my OC. But at the end of the day, you're taking a guy that's never called a play in a meaningful game and putting him into Gainesville at 11 o'clock in the morning on a sellout for the Gators. The swamp's going to be packed. Florida people are crazy. That environment, when it's rocking, is as intimidating an environment as LSU is on Saturday night, or as Knoxville is any time of the year when Tennessee's winning. So I just don't know that Arkansas has got enough in the tank to go down there and pull out a win. I'm concerned about the rest of the season. I'm not going to sit here and go be doom and gloom and say we're going to lose all 4 of them. I just don't see Arkansas being able to pull out a win down there. I think Florida's going to win, and I think Florida's going to win convincingly. I think Grant Mertz is going to figure some stuff out. They've got a couple of receivers. They got a really good running back at Florida, and when he gets to the edge, if you don't line up and get on him on the right angle, he can break one and go. So I got Florida +6 or -6. I think Florida's going to cover. I'm taking the under in this one, though, because I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a real low-scoring game, like 21-20, 21-14, something like that. It's going to be some weird score, but I just don't know that we've got enough horses and they're in the right places for us to go down and be successful.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not betting on Arkansas. I mean, I'm not spending any money on Arkansas. That's for sure. I just think this is one of those weirdo games where when finally everybody's like, we just suck.
Yeah.
That somehow we played good enough to keep it close.
Yeah. I mean, I worry about this game because if you lose this game on the road, you got to come home and you got to play Auburn.
No, that's going to go bad if you do that. Yeah.
I mean, Hugh Freeze has got an axe to grind.
Yeah.
Won last year up there. He's got a little bit more confidence about playing up there. I think he's kind of figured out he's got a quarterback based on what I saw last week. They looked a lot better than what they've looked. He's finally said, I'm going to play this guy and I'm going to ride him the rest of the year. So
right.
I'm interested to see that. I mean, that dynamic of Auburn coming up there next week. But again, I'm not convinced. Now, they may come out and completely shock me, and I hope they do. But I'm not comfortable with this at all. Beginning of the season, I thought we'd beat Florida. I really did. But I didn't know the offense was going to be 120th in the country. Guys, we appreciate you. Coach Cohu, go kick Greenwood.
Cohu.
Go kick Greenwood's butt, please. They hurt my boys from Russellville a couple weeks ago, so go beat them down. Guys, thank you for joining us, Big Pig Energy, again on the Arkansas Sports Network. Remember to check out Barley and Vine in Bentonville if you're looking for a place in Northwest Arkansas to watch the game on Saturday. We will be back next week. We're going to have a couple of guests. Looking forward to that. Going to be talking about the Auburn game. May have a player or two. We're working on some things, but right now it's kind of up in the air. But we'll be back next week. Appreciate you guys, and go Hogs.